My talk is going to be aggregation functions. So let me just go ahead and start talking about who I am. My name is Kimiko, and I am a student at Code Chrysalis. And before I joined Code Chrysalis, I was at a startup, like Ian said. I was doing mainly customer service, although I was hired as a programmer. Actually, I wanted to do more programming, so I quit and I joined Code Chrysalis. Before that, I was doing English teacher for 7 years in Osaka. Didn't do any programming then. I did study just a little bit of it, but yeah, I'm very, very interested in programming. And currently, I am very interested in SQL. The reason is at my old company, I had to manually manipulate data from our database to make bills and sending out to companies. And it took me half a day to send these out because I was doing them manually. And there I learned about how powerful SQLs are. And I wanted to share the things that I learned through my experience using aggregation functions. So let's begin, and this is going to be our agenda. Okay, so let's just go through them. Okay, so prerequisites. I want to see how many of you guys have used SQL. Can I see some hands, please? Okay, so that's a lot of people. Great. Okay. Well, you guys mostly are experienced with SQL. So for those of you who know a lot about SQLs, it's going to be just a review. If you have not, this is going to be new to you guys, but don't worry. The prerequisites is just going to be these three. If you know these three statements, and you're good to go with the with this today. All right. So I'm just gonna assume that you know these things by going through these. All right. So let's just begin. Okay. All right. So introduction. All right, so let's just say that you own a DVD store, and it's a rental store, and you have the database with all the DVD information in it, and every month you want to know how well your business is doing, right? So you want to know what's selling the most, what's selling the least, your total profit for every month, the average of the entire month, and how many DVDs you have in stock. All this you can use aggregation functions, and it will be very handy to use. Okay, so what exactly is aggregate? If you look it up in dictionary online, it is collection of small things. What is an aggregate function? Basically, it is one result by collecting data, and we'll go over this later. Okay. And then why is it useful? Well, like I said, at my previous job, you can do a lot of manipulation and calculation on SQL, and we will go over that right now. These are the most common aggregation functions that are being used. There are more. From what I know, there are about 30 or maybe even more, but we'll stick to the most commonly used functions that you see here today. All right, so how do you use them? Oops. Okay, all right, so let's say that you have a table called movies because you're the owner of the movie store, right? And then you want to know what the profit of each movie is. So this here is the title of the movie, this is the genre of the movie, and this is the profit for this dog's movie per month. So this is $1,000, $300, and $800. So this is how much you made for that month, right? So you want to know the total profit for this month. Okay. How do you do this in SQL? You do it by this sum function in your select statement. And then you just do it sum profit from movies. It's that easy. Okay? And then you get the profit of $2,100. Okay, so what exactly is going on when you do aggregation? First, you have this select statement, right? Well, you get the table, the entire thing, and then since you're doing aggregation function on just profit, it is going to just pick up that, that column, which is profit. And then it's going to add all this and give you just one result. We have to make sure that we remember aggregating anything is just going to output one result, just one. Okay, so some of the examples that you saw from my table previously, you can do sum, average, max, min. All this is just meaning the total profit. So total profit, average of that profit, max profit, which is the most selling profit, and then what's not selling the most. When you do this, the result will be like that. Very, very simple. Okay, here are 4 things to watch out for when you're using aggregation functions. Number 1, you must use it in your select statement. Okay, you cannot do where max profit. Okay, you must do it in this select statement like this, and I will go over why later. Okay, cannot be even. When I mean by not being even, it means that you can't have a select statement title which will get all the title, right? And then you can't do sum profit because aggregating something means you're only going to get one result. So you can't have one result here and then 3 results here. The table is uneven, right? So you cannot do it like this. You must make sure that both sides are equal. Okay. And also the data types that you can work with using aggregation functions are as follows. Sum, it makes sense. It makes sense that you can sum up all the numbers, right? You can't sum up strings. It doesn't make sense, right? Date, you can't sum up date either. It just doesn't make sense. Max, so all this, max, min, average, count, you can work with numbers, but like strings and dates, they have constraints. Max is going to give you the last alphabet, which is Z, and date is going to give you the most recent date. Min's the other way around. Min is going to give you A for min, and then Z for, the oldest date. You can't average out strings because it doesn't make sense. Date, yeah, also you can't average dates. Count, you can do anything. It doesn't matter what type your count is because you're basically counting how many records you have. And that's it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't look to see what kind of record you have in there. Okay, another thing to watch out for is nulls. When you're working with nulls, sum is going to ignore the nulls. So max and min and average is all going to ignore the null records, and it's just going to skip that record like it doesn't exist. If you're doing count though, if you do like a select title, select max title for example, and then you have a null in there somewhere, it's just going to disregard that record. But if you do a star, it's going to count that null as well. So if you have 10 records with null in there, if you do a star, it's going to give you 10. But if you just do a select profit, and there's a null in that profit column, it's going to give you 9. Okay, so a little mini quiz time. Okay, I want to give you guys this quiz. So let's say you have a table called movies, okay? And then you want to know how many movies exist in the movies table. So what I'm expecting is something like this. What kind of SQL query is going to be? Okay, let's take about a minute. Okay, well let's look at what we have. Okay, very simple. All we have is count asterisk from movies, right? And then you're gonna get all this. You can do like count title, but I did an asterisk because if there was a null in here, it's going to give you 7, right? So I just wanted to make sure that I get everything. Okay, let's go to the next one. What's the average profit of the movies table? All right, so what's the average of this? I am expecting something like this. Okay, so let's take about a minute, please, and just think. Okay. Who wants to share the answer or what they think? Yes.
Select average profit from movies.
Excellent. All right. And you're right. Exactly. Yeah. Select average profit from movies. Good. And like I said, this is going to be disregarded. Okay, fantastic. All right, so let's go on to something a little more difficult. All right, group bys and halving is what I'm going to explain next. Okay, so what if you want the price by each genre in movies table? So for example, I want animal 1,000, horror 300, and I don't want this because this is not the max price profit of genre. How do you do this? You do it with group by. Okay. What exactly is group by? I'm gonna go over this now. Okay, so how does it work? First, it's going to give you the search results, including where. It's going to do that first. And then it's going to group it into whatever you group it, and then it's going to aggregate it. So let me give you a better example. All right. So you have this query, right? First, it is going to just give you the entire thing, but it is not going to give you the title because it doesn't have title in your select statement. So it's just going to give you genre and max profit, but max is not going to be calculated yet. So it's just going to give you the results. And then it's going to group it in genre because we did group by genre. So it's going to split into like 2 different tables, if you can imagine. And then you do these 2 tables. You have these 2 tables, animal and horror. And then it is going to look in each table, and then it's going to do the aggregation. So from here, you have 1,000 as your max, and then from here, you have 300. So it is going to be aggregated into one table, which will result in this table. Okay. Yeah. So let's look at the condition where we have conditionals, like where, here. Let's say that you want to group it by genre, but then you want to get the sum where profit is greater than 0. So you don't want this into your results. Okay. You can't do it like this because remember, you do your select statement including where first, and then it's going to group it, and then it's going to aggregate it. So you don't know the aggregate result in the very beginning. So you can't do any aggregation functions in your where statement. Okay, this is the reason why you can't put any aggregation functions in your where. So what you do is you use this thing called halving, which you can do like this. So just replace that where with halving. So I'm going to go over the flow of what happens with halving. All right, so first, it's kind of like the same thing as group by, what we just saw with the aggregation function. All right, so first, it's going to do select genre and profit from movies. So this is the result that you get. Then it's going to group it by, same flow as earlier. it's going to group it by genre, so it's going to split into 3 different tables like animal, romance, and horror, right? And then it's going to do the aggregation functions. So what is it? We have max, right? So we have 1000 from animal, and we have only these record from these genres, so it's going to give you 1000 and 300. And then horror is also going to be here as well. So yeah, it should be there. Okay, and then it is going to do the halving. So from here, it's going to check the max, but we want the max to be greater than 0. So in this case, it is 1000, so we're going to get just one result of 1000. Okay, so we have a quiz now. Let's go over what we have learned. Okay, you have a table called movies, and then you have 4 different columns. You have title, genre, profit, and city. And this city is basically like where it was, like what the setting of the movie was. Okay. So how many movies are in stock for each genre in each setting, each city is what I mean. So I am expecting a result like this. Okay. So Nagoya has 2 action movies and 2 comedy movies. Tokyo has 1 action comedy, there's 2 movies, and horror 1. Alright, so I want to take a few to come up with a query. So if you guys can think or write it down if you have something to write with, and come up with a query. Oh, great, and then I think we have whiteboards, so you guys can actually write something. Great, thank you. You're right on time. Can we pass those out, please?
Yeah. So make some teams and share the work.
Yeah. I have some of these here. Okay. Oh, this has something written on it. Just erase this real quick. Oh, this too. Here. Oh.
Back. Any extra pens floating around? Yeah, encourage pairing the things to two people, one keep mark, one.
Like one? Doesn't have to. Just kind of looking around, see what people have.
Oh,
Yes.
why does it say count of genre expected? You're counting movies, right?
screenshot of.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll see later. And if you're done, share your answer with your neighbor and talk about your results, please. Thank you. Yes. Share your answer with your neighbor, please. And talk about your why you came up with that first. Alright, cool. Yeah. Remember, how many movies are in each stock for each genre in each city? Right? Okay. Who's done? No one. Okay. Alright. Let's do one more minute. Are you done? Okay. Have you shared your answers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. What do you guys have? You have the same answers? Oh, okay. Alright. You'll see. You'll see the answers. Okay, well, let's look at the answers, okay, whether you're done or not. Anyone brave enough to share the answers? No one, okay. Alright. Well, I will share then. Okay. Oops. Alright, so. Okay, so this is the table that you saw earlier, okay? What I want to do is, and I'm pretty sure there are many other ways to do this, but I am just going to copy and paste what I came up with. Okay, so I have select genre, count genre, city from movies, group by city and genre. When you do this, it gives you the result. Okay. Before I explain this, who got this right? Okay. All right. Good. Okay. All right. So for those of you who didn't, it's okay. All right. Let's go over this real quick. All right. So remember our flow of grouping by and how the flow goes, right? So first, what does it do first? It does the select statement first. And if it has any wheres, it does all that in the beginning, right? And then if it has a group by, it will group it into whatever you group it by. It gives you all the separate tables, right? Currently, we have select genre and city. We're not doing this right now because aggregation happens at the very end of the flow. So we're disregarding this right now. We're just doing genre and then city. And then we're going to group it by city and genre. Let me scroll up just a little bit. Okay, so we're grouping it by city and genre. What does that mean? That means that first we're going to group it by city. And what that means is you're going to have two separate tables, Tokyo and Nagoya. right? With all these other things in those tables, right? So first it's going to have two separate tables, Tokyo and Nagoya. Then from those, it's going to group it by genre. So we have Tokyo, and then we have, let's see, horror table, we have comedy tables with these two things in that table. We have Tokyo with just action, and Air Force One, 400. So we have 3 different tables from Tokyo. Nagoya is going to have a comedy table and then action. So totally we have like 5 different tables at the moment from group by. Okay, and then we're going to do the aggregation function. So it is going to count from each of those tables. And then it is going to count how many are in this genre, which is horror. So it's just going to give you 1 here. And then from Tokyo comedy, from that table we have 2. So it's going to give you 2 here. And then we have, let's see, Tokyo action. From that table, it's going to count just 1, right? There's only 1 in there, so it's going to give you 1. Which is, yeah, there. And then so on. So basically, we have 5 different tables, and then it aggregated based on those tables. Yeah. So that's my solution. Any questions? Good. Okay. I had a question where I got. Sorry, my computer is really slow. Okay. So I had a question earlier, like why do you have this count genre here? It's because I am grouping it by genre, and it's counting how many movies are in each genre. This is the reason why you get count genre. It's because you did it in your SQL right here. So it's just going to give you this as the result here. Depending on what SQL language you use, you might not see this. You might not see this. You might just see count or yeah, like this. I'm using PSQL in this terminal, and then the screenshot that you saw was Oracle. So depending on what language you use, it's going to show you different things, but the result is going to be the same. Okay, let's go to the next question. The next quiz is going to be, how many movies were filmed in each city? Okay, so I'm expecting a result of this, right? Tokyo has 4 different movies, right? And then Nagoya has 4 different movies. So this is what I'm expecting. All right, so please take a few to write down what you think on your whiteboard, and I'll be going around seeing what you guys have. Okay. Oh, it looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. Okay, yeah. This next question is not very complicated. some people might be thinking a little too much. All I want to know is how many movies were filmed in each city. So I don't care about genre right now. All I want to know is, so we have Tokyo, 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 movies in Tokyo, right? And then Nagoya has 1, 2, 3, 4, right, in each city. So don't think too much about anything else. Okay. I know the first one's kind of complicated, so the second one should be harder, but not necessarily. All right. So, okay. All right. So if you guys are done, please share your answer with your neighbor and talk about your results.
Okay. But when you're more serious and you want to else, that's right. Of course.
Very nice.
I think that's
Alright, I think most of you guys got this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and show you guys the results of what I have. Okay, so I have almost or exactly the same as what you guys have. I looked around and everyone that I saw had this. Right, okay, so select city, count title from movies, group by city. What do we get? Yes. So, good job. All right, any questions on this? Yes.
Does group by also group by another lines?
Another what?
By another lines.
Oh, yeah. So if you group it by, it's not gonna look to see what's inside of it. It's just gonna group it by whatever you're grouping by. So here, it's grouping by city. Yeah. So it's just.
An entry was no city, then there will be another entry.
Yeah. Yes. Only when you're like doing let's say count or one of the aggregation functions, then null is gonna start to matter. But if you're just grouping it by, yeah, it's just gonna put the null. Yeah, it's gonna be there. Okay. All right, good question. Any other question? Okay. Okay, let's go to the next one, and this is gonna be the last quiz. All right, you have the same table, okay? What's the total profit of each genre for each city? So I am expecting something like this. Nagoya has, let's see, how many actions? 2 actions, right? We have Nagoya, this, and we have this. So the total is 1,000, right? So that's the result that I got. Tokyo action, how many does it have? It has one action, right? So it's just going to give you 400, right? Tokyo comedy, 2 different tables, so it's going to add those, give you 1,200, right? So this is the result that I'm expecting. Please write the SQL query on how to get this result on your whiteboard. Okay. can see what you have.
I'm not sure.
Okay, okay.
Is it right? I'm not sure.
Okay, well, we'll see. Good, good. All right. Wow. Okay. All right. If you're done, please share your answers with your neighbor again. Talk about it. Okay. And ask questions if you don't understand what that person did,
That's the thing I'm not sure
or
about.
give feedback.
I'm pretty sure it's that way, right? But
Go around looking at people's answers now. Okay, okay. You guys don't have a report. Okay. Okay, good.
like, they might
Nice. Oh, okay.
Anyone wants a napkin to wipe their nose?
Oh, oh, I see. Yeah, it's okay. So it's basically you're reading it by, and then you're reading it by again from that, so. Okay. Okay. Are we done? All right. Who would like to share their answers? Yes.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much straightforward for select. So you sum up the profit, take the city, then the genre for movies, and then you group it by city and genre.
All right. Sounds good. Let's see. Okay. All right. So I have the same thing. Okay. So. Copy this. Right there. And there we go. All right. So we have select some profit, city, genre for movies, group by city, genre. It seems everybody had this when I was walking around. So good job. When I was beginning to learn this group by, it took me a while to figure this out, that you had to group by city and genre, and this combination was really confusing. But then like understanding the flow, you know, that it first does the search results, then group it by, then aggregation. Remember this flow, and then it will help you construct your SQL queries. All right, so good job on all of you guys. When I looked around, you guys had the correct answers, so great. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Okay. All right, so conclusion. Aggregation function is very useful to calculate data. As you can see, it'll do it automatically for you. Oh. Yeah, and then yeah, okay, so yeah, and then but you must also remember that when you're using group bys, that you must remember the flow, right? And then also grouping by and having make sure that you don't put the aggregation function in your select statement. Make sure you do having by when you want to narrow your searches down with the conditionals using aggregation functions. Okay, so remembering that flow will help you construct your SQL query statements. Yeah, I really like aggregation functions because it helped me through my job at my last company. And I hope you guys will use this, and yeah, hope that it will help you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Yan-san. So, the topic I will present is about mobile development with React Native. If you're a web developer, I'm sure that your existing web knowledge easily to mobile app. And if you're a mobile developer, you might think why React Native is used. I'm sure it's not because I love Mark Zuckerberg, but because I strongly feel that it is a promising one in mobile world. So let me share to introduce React Native. A little bit about me. I'm not learning web development in Code Chrysalis as a student, of course. And before coming to Code Chrysalis, I've experienced to work as a junior web developer in a Japanese IT company. And in that moment, I mostly use PHP. And I don't have any offense to PHP, but compared to PHP, I'm so enjoying to use React in development. And I hope after this presentation, we all getting to React fun boy and girls. That's my goal in this presentation. How about you? I will go through 2 questions. So if so, please raise your hand. First question. Have you ever used React.js? Raise your hand. It seems like 50%. Yeah, nice. Because in this presentation later, I will go through some simple demonstrations. If you're getting familiar with React itself, it's much easier to understand how it works. But if not, don't worry too much. It is just introduction to React Native. And second question is more important question. Are you interested in mobile development? Raise your hand. So, wow. Thank you. Thank you. That is the reason here I am. Yeah, it's very good reaction and question as well. Yeah. So here is my workflow. First, I'm going to explain what React Native is. And this is very basic concept, but it's very important to know before writing actual code in React Native. And then we're going to know how to set it up correctly. So if, as a developer, it is very difficult to set your environment up when starting something new. So I will go through briefly in this section, and later, simple demo. And I will show you by this demo how easy it is to use React Native in development. All right. So first of all, what is React.js? Basically, it is the technology made by Facebook. And I think React.js is a Vue library. So we can use that React to make user interfaces in application. And most of the time, it is used in web app. And the topic is, of course, React Native. And if you ask me, I would say React Native is part of the big React community. Once you get close to React, you can immediately apply your React knowledge to other fields. In that case, once you learn React, you can make applications in web, mobile, even in VR. That's good, right? So, of course, in my imagination, React is very, very good guy. Let's assume he's a very good guy. And once you get, make friends with React, he will let you, know his close brothers. Native VR, in that case. So, and I'm sure it is not so hard for you to get close to his brother because you can tell. Actually, yeah, it's true. You can tell that their way to talk, their gesture, are very, very similar to each other. So which means React is very, very good, friendly community. So who uses React Native actually? Now, a lot of big company uses React Native as first languages in their mobile app. And we can tell that they prove how useful it is to use React Native as a first language on mobile application. Of course, nowadays, those two Kotlin in Android, Swift in iOS are top technology that most developers use in actual world. Because these two languages are officially supported by its own platform. Kotlin is supported by Android, Swift by Apple. So that means every time they are adding new technology to that language first. So, but I think from the point of web developer, it's a bit harder to change the way from web to mobile. So we have third options, those three. Submarine is written in C# and Ionic React Native. It's written, those are written in JavaScript. And I would highly recommend you to use React Native because I'm React Native guys. So what is React Native actually? So in React Native, all we do is write code in JavaScript. That's it. We don't need to write native languages such as Kotlin, Swift. We just JavaScript. We just do JavaScript. And like I said, React Native is part of big React community. So if you're getting familiar with React itself, it's much, much easier to change your step from web to mobile world. The same goes for, on the other hand, if you're getting to React Native, it's very easy for you to get your native knowledge to web work. But unfortunately, last June, the big, I think you all guys know that big IT company, Airbnb, decided to stop using React Native as a first language in their mobile app for 3 reasons. I don't get into detail in here, but if you're interested in more what they say, oh sorry, excuse me, I'm going back to here. I would highly recommend you to read their articles on Medium. Also, you can search these articles by Googling React Native Airbnb, and you can see that why they stopped to use React Native. And those three are my understanding according to their articles. But I would say in overall, their feeling towards React Native is very good. So I think, yeah, I would say that roughly 65% of their engineers are willing to React Native, again, if they have a chance to do so. Okay, here. And from here, how it works. Especially for those who doesn't know a lot about React itself. I will go through, quick recap of React. Basically, like I said, React is a library for building user interfaces in application. So it lets you compose a complex UIs from isolated and part of the code, as you can see in this page. So to put it simple, component is a block. So all we do is just make component and put it in one pages. Like we put navbar, it is one component, search bar, cursor, body, and footer. All those are described as component in React. But today's topic is about React Native. So it's a slightly different works from what React works in web application. So imagine that there is two words. Right side, we can write code in JavaScript. Left side, the code written in native languages. And those two words is not getting connected with each other directly. All of the interaction is going through React Native bridges, right? So React Native bridges works for us to get connected those two words. Always those two words is passing their data each other by through React Native bridges. And we don't care. We don't need to care so much about React Native bridge because most of the work is written already and we can just use that. But sometimes React Native bridges doesn't support some of the components. It is one disadvantage of using React Native in mobile app. I'm honest. Yeah. Now that we got through the basic concept behind React Native, and I think it is good enough to get started. Like she says. It's like that. That. And here's the link for this demonstration. And in this repository, you can have the boilerplate to get started your mobile development quickly. And from here, I will go through the installation that requires us to get started React Native. And it might be too fast to follow it up, but don't worry. You don't need to follow in here. And also, I post that link on my last slide on presentation. So if you wanna get started your own idea to mobile application, you just hit this link on later. Just to confirm, I use macOS and IDE. It needs us to install Xcode and command line tools. And I'd prefer to use VS Code, but actually you can use any editor you want. And package manager, I use Homebrew. And quick, yeah. So installation. It is a necessary library to get started before writing actual code. We need to install Node, and then Yarn, Watchman, and Flow. Node and Yarn is if you're familiar with JavaScript, it's must tool for development. And I think Watchman is new to you guys because it is a specific tool for React Native development. If you install that Watchman into your local machine, React Native can detect the changes you made on code basis. And Flow, it is a type checker for React Native. Remember, third reason why Airbnb stopped to use React Native. It's because React is dynamic type languages. To deal with it, I use Flow. It gives us to type check on code basis. And I use CLI, create React Native. Okay, please assume that it is a, let's see, it is a magic box. You don't need so much about how it works. It is magic. And as a developer, getting qualified debugging environment can lead you to become more productive software engineer, while helping you, write down your pesky bugs and creating new and amazing features. So debugging is very important, I mean. And environment setting is supposed to look like that. On the left side, it shows a simulator. Emulator. Oh, it's ever. Emulator. It is actually running your code. And on the right side, it is actually the React Native debugger works. And in that React Native debugger, we can use Google DevTools, React DevTools, Redux DevTools, all of the useful tools in just one package. It's very, very useful when debugging your code. And I think, although it is a good option to use Google Developer Tools when debugging your React Native apps, it's much better. And it shows what Flow is. Like I said, Flow is a type checker. So, actually we have two options to check your code, your type in JavaScript. First one is TypeScript, which is made by Microsoft. And it's also a great tool to check your type, define your type on code basis, but especially if this is introduction to React Native. So if you're new to React itself, it's a bit harder to adapt yourself to TypeScript. So we have another option that is Flow. Flow is much easier compared to TypeScript. That's why I highly recommend you to set it up in your configuration when making a mobile application. So, okay, demo time. What are we making? Then, I'm going to make space. No, I'm going to make application relating to space. You know, we all humans are originally coming from space. So I would say there is no doubt that we love space. So I use that NASA API to make this demo and show you how easy it is to make a mobile application in React Native. So demo. This is user story. User story is like scenario in which user use your application. I said, like, there is boy. He's very smart. He's interested in space, and he wanna share his unique idea with his friends. And just like other boy in his generation, he has his own smartphones. And application looks like that. Yeah. So I will go to the VS Code, and I prefer to use VS Code as my editor, but you can use any editors. You know, it's not must to use VS Code. Yeah, whatever you want. And first, I would like you to pay attention to this line. It says the style sheet in this application, and we set styles in a variable declaration way. It might looks like a bit strange, especially for web developer, because we usually set style sheet in .css file, but this is React Native app, so we set style in this JS file. That is what it does. Line 7 to line 20. And this is for type checker. That way Flow can easily detect what each prop has its own types. And I don't get into detail about this in this demonstration, so don't worry about it. And here is constructor. If you use some languages classes, maybe this constructor is a little bit familiar to you. It is the place, but in React Native apps, it is the place to set our state. Oh, by the way, state is the thing which holds the data in this application. Just confirm. And here's the place. I actually get data from NASA API to call their API endpoint. And here, this .set state, here is the place I will put those space data to those space data and store that data in this app. So let me see current running application. Oh, by the way, it's already running.
Can you zoom in? One.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is it good? Okay.
Or maybe changing the background.
Ah.
The black sauce tree.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Noted for next time. Thank you. And all right. here is the current state of emulator. Oh, why it's so small? Please bear with me to make it easy to see. I will set it bigger. Good. Okay, I'm going back. And for simplicity, I will put, actually, this is ideal setting for debugging your application. But in this demo, for simplicity, I will put this emulator and my VS Code in one pages. So, that way we can see immediately the changes we made in this demo. This is current state, and it doesn't meet Space Kid's curiosity. It's not good for that. So we are going to pass that data coming from NASA API to those components. Remember, component is just block, and now we have just view. View is like div, D-I-V in web development. So please assume that view is like view, a div, sorry. And we just have one view. Oh, by the way, it is just comment out line. So those code doesn't affect my running application at all. And yeah, so first, let's see. Now that we are already having data coming from NASA API, and I put those data to this application state, the state for title, URL, explanation, media. And to use that state, I put those in here, line 51. Okay, first, we set component showing title of image. To do that, I will add supposed to have title data. So this is title of this image coming from NASA API. Oh, there you go. It shows close Mars, what it is. Okay, we want to see what image. So second, I'm going to the next one. Second component is supposed to have data, which is images of this title, close Mars. What is? Okay, I first, to show the image on React Native, I put image component in here. And this image is coming from URL. URL is holding data coming from NASA API. Like that. And it has style as well. So with, I put style with 370. And height 200 in this component. And I will close. There you go. Yeah. So the changes we made on code basis immediately reflect your emulator. That is the biggest advantage of React Native. You don't need to compile. That's good. I feel good. And lastly, now we have title and image from NAS API, but we don't have any description what it is. And still, we don't meet the space key's curiosity at all. Okay. To do that, I put, again, text component, which is corresponding to P tag in web development, right? So P has string information, so and text has style as well. The style is the same one as we use in title. So eventually the title and descriptions are going to be the same style. And it has description. Oh, what is it? Description. Can I see that? Explanation, sorry. Explanation. In here. Oops. Reference error. Style is not defined because I have typos. Just put it. And how about it? Please, please, please. So, sometimes you might come across those white pages. If so, on your emulator, command error. It is like reloading your app. Oh, there you go. We have title and description. Oh, wait, images. Something changes. There's another data that's coming. But it's okay as long as it works. Right, going back to the presentation. Okay, we meet the space key's curiosity. Sounds good, sounds good. That's it. Thank you. Does anyone have any questions about this presentation or about me or anything you have? Oh.
I was just wondering about styles. What units are you using for like border and stuff?
Border stuff?
If you go back to
Yes.
Code,
Yes, good.
width and height, what unit is that? Pixels or?
It is pixels.
Okay.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
How do you cater for different sizes, different size screens?
It's a nice question. Yeah, it's different from web development. So, sorry, I'm not sure how to do that correctly. But I usually do I usually just consider one, sizes.
Oh, can you use percent?
We can use. Can I check that? Sorry for my poor understanding to React Native style percent like that. Style. We can use. Sorry, I will talk to you later.
Okay.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time. Yeah, maybe. Thank you. Hey.
Yeah, I have a question. What happened with the white screen again? Was it just an error loading it, or?
I suppose that it is a caching problem. Yeah, so previous cache caused that node there, caused that previous state on the emulator. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Is it correct? Yeah. Right.
I don't know, so that's why I'm asking you.
Does anyone have correct answer for that? I suppose it is a cache. Yeah, from my understanding. Yeah, thank you. Good question. Anyone?
Simplified.
Nice to meet you all. So, my name is Nour. I used to be a lawyer. I have a law degree. Now I'm a student at Code Chrysalis. I'm studying software engineering. Today I'm going to talk about Git and GitHub, but in a simplified way. So at the end of this talk, I suppose you all have knowing of what is Git, what is GitHub, and how to use them, and why is it a good idea to use Git and GitHub? Yeah, okay, so just like a remark, I'm going to say that this talk is for people who don't use Git and GitHub in general, and or they are beginners in Git and GitHub. But also experienced people are also welcome to add some valuable stuff or to add comments. Okay, and so I start first going through the concepts of Git, through the interface of GitHub. Then I will show you how it's worked locally in your machine. Yeah, okay, so let's start from the very beginning. Yeah, so I have a question first for everyone. So, does this ever happen to you? You have a file called colors.txt, you have some data on it, and then you modify it, call it colors1, and then you also modify it again, colors2. And then it's final. This is the final version. And then you revise it, oh, I have more to add. So now it's final revised. After that, now it's really final. Now it's not final, it's final too. So now if you notice, we have multiple versions of this same file. We are adding stuff to it, and we are creating changes point to it. So here where Git comes to save. Git is the main purpose of using Git is for something called version control. So Git keep track of the changes of the file, and if you want to return back to any point or any change you did, Git makes it very easy to do so. And also, Git is very useful not only for version control, for something called collaboration. So collaboration basically means that too many people or a team can work on one project, and each one can work in a part of the project, and Git is smart enough to get these all together in one project. So if we see now, Git is used for version control if we have multiple versions and we want to keep track of it, and also for collaboration, and many people working on the same project. Yeah, okay, so now I have a question for everyone. Who knows the difference between Git and GitHub? A lot of people think it's the same thing. Does anyone know the difference? Yeah.
Basically, Git is the software or the framework itself, and GitHub is just a service, provides service or servers to store with Git their projects.
Or
the basic thing.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So Git is the actual version control software. It's created by a guy called Linus Torvalds. I know everyone, or a lot of people know who he is. He's the guy who created the Linux kernel. So now, on the other hand, GitHub is a web service. You can think of it as a social network for projects that are made by Git. So like we have Instagram for pictures and videos, and we have GitHub for projects that are made by Git. So there are more services, but like GitHub is like the most popular one. Yeah, okay, so now I'm going to start like from the very beginning, from how to create an account on GitHub, and then I'll walk you through the concepts of it on the interface of GitHub. So if you have laptops, feel free like to follow along with me. Yeah, so first we go to github.com. We create an account, we have a username, an email, and a password, and we click sign up for GitHub. After that, we see that we are now, we created the account, and now we are signing into GitHub. Yeah, first thing, if you want to create a project, or if you want to create a file that we want to keep track of its changing, we have this term called repository. So repository, basically, you can think of it as a project. So if we click new repository, we can add a name for it. For example, I want to create a text file. I want to add colors to it. I will call it colors. You can add a description. I will make it public, and I will initialize it with a README. So the README, each repo has a README file, which like gives you, like get you familiar with this project and like instructions for it, and what does it do. So after we create this repository, now we see this is our repository, and we only have the README in it. So now I'm going to create the file that I want to add changes to. So we press this, create new file. And we see now we have the file. If I want to add like stuff to it, I want to add red, orange, yellow, green, blue, for example. And then if we scroll down, we see this new term called commit. So commit basically is like, you can think of it as save, if you want to save this change that we made to the file. Yeah, okay. So now if you want to remember the terms, we have repository, it means project. After that, we have commit. And commit, you can think of it as saving. Yeah, so if that makes sense. Yeah, okay, so after that, after we created our colors.txt files, and we added the colors we want, if we want to add more to it, we can click on it, and then it will open. If you want to edit it, we have this icon, it's like a pen. If we click on it, we can edit. And then I want to add integer, for example. So I made a change here. So I can commit this change, and I can label it that I added integer. So I commit this change. I want to add also another color like violet. And then I added violet, and then commit this change. So now we have this file with all the colors we listed. Yeah, okay. So now if we click on the history, we can see all the changes we had to this file. Yeah, for example, first we created the color .txt file, and then we added the integer color, and then we added the violet color. And if we click on each one, if we click on violet, for example, you can see that this is the change we made. We have a plus sign like next to it, and also it's in green. So we added this on this point. Okay, and also something like we have to notice this ID. So each commit or each change we do, we have this ID for it. It's a unique ID. So each comment has like unique ID that like differentiated from the other commits. Like for example, if we go to the website and see after this is our repository, and after commits forward, if we put this ID here, we can get to this commit like directly. Okay, so now I'm going to review quick. So Git, it's version control txt. We committed one change, added the indigo color, and then committed another change, added violet. And then now we have a repo, readme, we didn't commit any change to readme file, and we committed the changes to the colors.txt. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about a new concept in Git called branches. So what are branches? So you can think of it as a new idea that we wanna, like, it's an experience or a new idea I wanna see. If it works, I'm going to like put it in my main project. If it's not, I'm going to delete it. So now what we've going through so far, we created this color.txt, we created indigo, and we created violet. I was working on the same branch here that called master. This is like the default name of the branch of the project you work on. So what if I wanna, like for example, the new idea for me, I wanna add hex colors. So I'm going to try that on a new branch. So if I like that, then I'll return it to our master branch. So okay, so now we add the word branch to the terms. Okay, so now this is what we have so far. So here we are on master branch. You see now master is written, which is the default branch. If you want to create a new branch, as we talked, we can click on it and like write the name of the branch we want. Yeah, for me, I want to call it hex, for example. Yeah, and then Git will show you that there is no branch that named hex. Do you want to create it? So we say yes, want to create it. Yeah, and then if we notice now we are on branch hex, we are not on the master branch. So from now on, any changes we do on this branch will not affect like the master branch or the project. We are just like experiencing here on this branch. So for example, I want to like open the colors.txt file again. I want to add this hex color, and then I want to commit it that I added gray in hex. That's the name of the commit. Now if we notice that now we are committing directly to the hex branch. Before we were committing to the master branch. Or also, like GitHub offers you to create a new branch for this change you made. But for now, because I already did a branch, I just committed to this branch. Then if we commit the change, now we have it. So okay, so now we are on hex branch. Who knows now if we go to master branch, will this color exist or not on our master branch? Yeah, right. So now if we go to the master branch, now it didn't like exist because we committed the change on the branch hex only. Yeah, so okay, so now if we go to this tab called Insights, and if we go to network, we can see now that here we created the txt file, we added indigo, we added violet, and then the master branch stopped here. It didn't go forward. And now we created a new branch called hex, and it's moving forward. So now we have a new change that is not on the master branch. Yeah, okay. So here comes a new term called merge. So now, what if I like this new change that I made in the hex branch, for example, and I want to put it on my master branch or on my project. So what I have to do is I have to merge this branch with the master branch. It's going like this. So now I will have to commit this commit here, this change in the master branch here. So now I'll have it on the master branch also. I'll have all the color and also the hex color. So now if I want to show it to you on the GitHub interface, we will see now that if we go to the master branch, you will see now that GitHub is telling you that we have a new change that's made by the hex branch. Will you want to compare it and pull request? So pull request is this new term we are going to focus on. Pull request is basically, if you want to think of it, we are requesting from the master branch, please, can you pull or can you receive the changes that I made on the hex branch to the master branch? Okay, we can think of pull as receiving the changes. So if we click on compare and pull request, now we are opening this pull request to the master branch. We can call it whatever we want. So because we added this hex color on the hex branch, we can call it added hex gray color, for example. And then we create this pull request. So now if we scroll down, we'll see that this is the change we made on this pull request. Yeah, okay, so now after that, after we created the pull request, if we are working more than one on this team and this project manager, we'll see that that someone made a pull request that he wants to merge this branch with the master branch. So if he likes the change that this person made, he can merge it. So he merges the branch with the master branch. Yeah, okay, so after we do that, and it's successfully merged by the pull request, we will see this message now. And we can delete the branch we created because now it's on the master branch. And if you look at the insights network, we'll see that now hex joined the master branch. So now hex and master are on the same page, on the same level on changes. And now the added hex color will be on the master branch. Yeah, okay. So in the previous example, I just modified the branch I created without modifying the master branch. So what if if two people are working, one is working on the master branch and one is working on the hex branch, and each person added some changes to his branch. So after that we want to merge these. What will happen? Yeah, okay. So we can do that. For example, we want to create a new branch called RGB. We want to add RGB colors. Yeah, okay. So now this is our file. We want to add this file. We say we added RGB. I'm sorry, I wrote lime, it's green. So we added this green color, and then we committed to the RGB branch. We commit changes. Okay, so now this is our file on RGB branch. In the master branch, now we want to add also some changes. So for example, I added this sky blue color with the colors, and I committed this added sky blue to the master branch. So we basically added a color, we added RGB color to the RGB branch, and we added normal color to the master branch. We commit these changes. Now we have two changes. If we see now RGB is here and master is here, it went forward also. So each branch is on different position. So what are we going to do? We're going to do also pull request to merge these two together. So I'm creating a pull request to merge this RGB branch with the master branch. It says able to merge, so there is no problem. Like there is no problem because, okay, so we create this pull request, and then we merge this pull request with the master. Now, if we confirm the merge, it will be like merged also like the previous example. And now if you look at it, it's merged. So RGB and master are now at the same point. And it is like this. So it moved forward, and RGB also moves forward, and we merged them together at this point. Okay, so now new terms we had so far is pull request and merge. Okay, does this make sense so far? So now this is our file. Now in the master branch we have this hex color, and we also have an RGB color. I'm going to talk about a new concept now called fork. So what is fork? So, and we want to add it to the terms we've been like memorizing so far. So like we can think of it as, on the previous examples, the project we were making was our project. I'm a part of the team, or I am the creator of the project. So I have like authentication to do whatever I want with this, to edit files, to add stuff. But what if I am not part of the team that making the project? I saw this project and I wanted to add some changes to it. What should I do here? I can't like modify it directly, so I do something called fork. I said he will approve it. If he didn't, he will refuse that. So this is like basically what forking means. Forking is when you're not a part of the project and you want to participate on it. So now, for example, now I'm entering from my account, not from the previous account, and I want to fork this colors coders repository called colors. I click on fork. So now I fork it on my account. So now if you notice, now it's on my repository, on my account, but also you see that written fork from colors coder. So it's fork, it's not the original work. And I have the exact same things here. So okay, so now if I want to like add changes to these colors, for example, I want to add this RGBA color, okay? And then I want to commit these changes. I want to like merge it with the master branch. And after I merge it, I see that it's like a good idea to have. Yeah, okay, so now from here, I can click on new pull request, because now I want to like create a pull request, but for the owner, for this colors coder guy, not for me. I want to add these changes that I made on the repository I forked. After I click on this new pull request, now we create a pull request. We see what I did changes to this file, and then I can write a message that, hey, I added this color to the file. Okay, and then I'll wait for like the owner of the project, the current project, like to approve it. So now if the owner of the project sees that there is this pull request now, that I requested this change to this project. Yeah, okay, so if we click on it, we see this message that I wrote before, that I added an RGBA color to the file. Yeah, okay, so now he sees, if he likes it, he can merge it. He can merge this pull request with his repository. So, okay, he sees, okay, confirm merge. And now he can see what changes I made. After that, we'll see that it's successfully like merged with this project. Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay, so does this make sense so far? So I will like make like a quick review for everything said so far. Git is version control, it's also for collaboration, GitHub web service, and also a social network for Git projects. We have this terms, repository is a project. We have this commit, we are saving a change. We have this hash ID, which is a unique ID that like each commit has it. We have a branch, which is a new idea we are like thinking of. We want to try it. We have this pull request. We are requesting, please could you like receive the changes we have. If we like want to receive the changes, we can merge the branch with the master branch. And we have this fork in case we didn't do the project. We want to participate to it. It's open source. We want to like add stuff to it. We can fork it and then like add changes to it. Yeah, okay, so now I will show you like live demo on how to do that on the local machine. We've been like doing all the changes only on the website, on GitHub, on the server. Like so now we are going to work with some command lines. Yeah, okay, so first, if I wanna like create this new repository on my account, okay. Sorry. Okay, let's call it, for example, colors text. Yeah, we'll see here that like GitHub adds dash between words because you cannot like spaces between them. It added it like automatically. We can add description, for example, public. I want to initialize it with readme as we did before. I want to create this repository. So if we want to like clone this to our machine, we can just take this URL, copy it, and then go to the command line. For example, I used the Visual Studio command line. This good, or like the size is good, or yeah. Okay. So first, I want to clone it. For example, sorry, I was working on this project. Yeah. Okay. So we have this. This command called git clone. So basically we can write that on the command line and put the URL of the repository we want to clone to our machine. So now I'm going to do this, git clone, and then the URL we copied. Now it's on our machine. We can go to it. This colors text. Yeah, so now I'm going to open this one. Okay. So we only have a README file. If we want to add a file to it, like colors, txt, created it. Now we add, for example, red, orange, yellow, green, blue. This is our first like change we did. So if you wanna Yeah, okay. So now we have this file we created before. We want to commit these changes to it. So first we have this command called git status. In here, git status. It shows you like what is the status of the repository. Is everything like working? Is there like changes that we didn't follow or we didn't commit? So if you write that git status, and we'll see now that there is this file, we created it, this new file, colors.txt, we are not tracking the change of it. So if we want to track the change, we have this command called git add. So if you want to add this file, first git add and then the name. Now if we do git status, you'll see now it's on green, and now we are like following the changes or like keeping track of the changes to this file. After that, if we want to commit from git, now we are using git. We have this command called git commit -m, and then we call the message, like for example created colors.txt. Let's do that for now. Now, this is the first commit we do. Yeah, after that, we want to add integer. Save. And then we have this command called git diff and then the file name. So git diff shows you what are the changes that you did to this file. So if we do like git diff and then this file we have, we'll see now that this integer color we created, I'm sorry, I just like removed the blue and then added it. So this integer color is like added now. This is the new different. Yeah, okay, so if we wanna commit this change, we have this command, like instead of adding first, then committing, we can add and commit in one command, can put am instead of m. So git commit am and then the message we want. So here the message is git and then the message added in git. Okay, so let's add file it, for example, save, then git new. Okay, so now we have exactly the same as we did before. We created a file. We commit the change on integer. We also committed the change when adding the violet color. After that, what if we want to like push these changes to the repository we created? We can basically put git push, and then we have to put the remote name we are working on. So now we are working on the default name, it's called origin, and on the master branch because we didn't create any branches. Yeah, okay, so now if we go to the repository, refresh, you'll see now that colors.txt now is on the repository because we pushed the changes on the local machine to the GitHub repository. Yeah, okay. Yeah, after that I'm going to talk about branches. So I'm going to create this hex branch as we did before, but with the command line and with only git. So if you want to create branch, we have this command, git checkout, and then -p, and then the name of the branch we are creating. For example, now I'm going to create this hex. So I'm going to write git checkout -b then hex. So now we switch to this hex. Now we are not on the master branch, we are on hex branch. So now in hex, I want to like create a new color, for example, like this color. And then I want to commit these changes. Now we committed on the hex branch, not the master branch. So like if I wanna switch to the master branch, there is this command. Git checkout without the -b, just like git checkout. So when we created the hex, we added this -b. Now we only write git checkout and then the name of the branch we are going to. So now I'm going to the master branch, so I write git checkout master. So now we switch back to the master branch, and now if you see the hex color we added to the hex branch does not exist now on the master branch because we didn't merge these together. So if you want to merge the hex branch with the master branch, we have this command, git merge, and then the branch name that we want to merge with our branch. So because now we are on master branch, we want to merge the hex branch. So we can write this, merge, and then hex. As we see now, after we wrote that, we'll see that the hex color we added on our hex branch now added to the master branch. So, for example, if we want to delete the hex branch we created, we can use this command, git checkout -d, and then the name of the branch. Yeah, okay. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about forks. How do we fork? Okay, I'm going to enter this repository from my other account here. I'm going to fork it on my account. So now I'm not on my account, I'm on this color coder account. I want to fork it, so I press fork. Okay, so now as we see, it's on this account, and it's forked from my account. If I want to like make some changes to it, for example here, I want to edit file and then add some changes to it. For example, I want to add this RGBA first. 0, 5, 0, and then okay. So I added it. I saved this commit. For example, I added RGBA and then to the master branch I made this change on the fork I made, but not the original. So now if I wanna like so now if I wanna create a pull request for the changes I made on this fork to to the original repository, I click on new pull request, and then create pull request, added RGBA color, this is what I did, created. It's checking whether there is conflicts or not. So basically, usually there is no conflicts until two people are working on the same line. So if people are working on a separate file, there is no conflicts. If people are working on the same file, but each one is working on a different line, there is no conflicts. The conflicts only exist when two people are working on the same line, on the same thing. So now we don't have any conflicts. We can commit this. Yeah, okay, so now we created this pull request. If I go here and refresh, I'll see now that there is this pull request. I can open it. Okay, here we have this file change, so I want to see what changes this other person did to this repository. He added this RGBA color, I like that, so I want to merge. Sorry. So I'm going to merge this. Confirm merge. And now everything exists on my repository. So if I open this color.txt, you'll see the RGBA color here. Yeah, okay, so here we have another command, it's called pull. So now after we created changes from other four, we added to our project, we want to pull it now to our local machine. So we can write git pull and then also the remote, which is by default origin, and the branch we want to work on. Now we are working on master. Like here, if we git okay. Git pull. Sorry. So as we see now, I get the changes from this pull request if they are RGBA color. Okay, that's it.
I will let Yuichi introduce himself, so please welcome Yuichi.
Hi everyone, I'm Yuichi, and thank you for having me today. And at the previous session, Nour did a great introduction to GitHub. And in this session, I will introduce you some GitHub pro tips. So this will help you to become a pro GitHubber, right? So I will introduce myself, and I'm Yuichi. I work at GitHub, but I joined GitHub about 1 month ago, so I'm still a newcomer. And before joining GitHub, I worked at a Japanese software company called Cyborg. And I was doing a software engineer almost for 10 years. And after that, I was doing a product manager for 2 years. And currently, I'm doing Inside Solutions Engineer. It's very difficult to understand title. And how many of you have an idea what a solutions engineer does? No? No? Yeah, I know. It's natural. It's very difficult. And my role is, basically my role is helping people to understand what GitHub is like. And been able to use GitHub very effectively, and also I'm helping companies to change their way to develop software, right? And this is my book. Unfortunately, this is written in Japanese, so if you want to learn Japanese, you should read this book. And also, you can learn Java language. So this is the book. And yeah, this is my favorite cat. She's dancing a hula dance. This is great. This is a Hawaiian version, and if you like this, we have a very nice site called GitHub Optics. This is at this site we have many cat images, so you can find your favorite one. So please check this site. Okay, so let's start, and I will start from this question: what is necessary to succeed in software development? This is a very difficult question, but of course, writing code is very important. It's natural, but there are many other aspects to succeeding development software, right? And take a look at this figure. This figure summarizes the repository activity on GitHub as a function of the total contributor count. So the x-axis is the total contributor count, and the y-axis is the repository activity fraction. And there are many projects on GitHub, but many of the projects is a single contributor project. So the left-hand side, and but others have, for example, over 1,000 contributors. So, for example, the biggest community is the Linux community, I think. They have, I think, over 10,000 contributors. And as you can see, and this red area represents the push activities. So, I mean, writing some code and pushing to the github.com. And the second largest area is this light blue. And this light blue represents the issue commits. So writing comment to the issue. And the third largest one is the pull request comments. So writing some code review comments or things like that. So as we can see, the single contributor project, in the single contributor project, the pushes, so I mean the writing code is the vast majority of the activity, almost 95%. But as the number of the project contributor increases, this kind of conversational activities increases rapidly. So from this figure, you can see that the communication and the collaboration becomes very important in the relatively larger project. And here is another figure, and this is the activity graph of the Ember.js. Ember.js is one of the JavaScript framework. And this figure shows that the activity over time of the Ember.js. So, and as you can see, the amount of activities is not constant, but there is always a mixture of writing code and also writing some comments on the issues and writing some code review comments. So the same as the previous figure, you can see that communication and collaboration is very important activity in the software project. So the takeaways from these previous figures, the writing code is not the only way to contribute to the software project, right? And communicating with the team members or giving a feedback or writing some code review comments is as important as writing code, right? So today I will share you the GitHub collaborative tips. So I mean how to be collaborative with GitHub. And I will introduce 3 topics, and issue topics, and pull request topics, and project topics. Okay, so let's start about issue tips. Does everyone hear about or use issues? Okay, how about how? Okay, so I will introduce you the issues first. So, for example, this is oh sorry. This is VS Code developed by Microsoft. It's editor, text editor, and this is Microsoft shares VS Code repository on the GitHub, and this is the issues view of the VS Code. There are many issues opened. For example, the feature requests or bugs. There are many feature requests, and there are also many bugs. And so, for example, this issue. There is some description, and then you can discuss about this topic here. So there are so many discussions. So you can discuss on some topics about this project on the issue, right? And I will go back to this slide. And when you use issues, this is a very important tip. That is open issue first. So if you have some ideas, or if you have found some bugs, or if you notice some feature requests, share your ideas on issues. So open a new issue and write your idea, or the bugs you encountered, or your feature request. This will enhance the collaborative culture on your project. So open an issue as much as you can and ask your teammate to give feedback to your idea or to your thoughts. And also you can use a task list in the issue. This is issue content, and you can write a task list. So the task list will organize the issue contents, or the issue discussion topics, or the issue tasks. And you can write task list with the markdown like this. So when you write the text like this, the GitHub automatically renders the checkbox like this. So you can use this checkbox as a task list or any kind of checklist, right? So this will greatly help you to organize your topics or your tasks. And also, we can create issue templates, right? Without issue templates, you need to write your issue contents from scratch. So that flexibility helps you to write any kind of issues, but sometimes that flexibility is hard to manage, right? Because what kind of information do I need, or some things like that. So, and of course, you can create a multiple issue template. So this is good for bug report, but you need another issue template for the feature request. So create issue requests and use that. It's very useful. Okay, and the next tip is keep issues small. This is also very important because keep issues small and focus one topic per each issue. Because large issues is hard to manage or hard to discuss effectively, right? Large issues often contains several topics, so it leads to very hard to discuss several topics at the same time. So if you find some messy issue, divide that issue into multiple brand new issues to bring the focus back, and lock the conversation of the original issue, right? So this will keep you the very focused issue. And this is from this button, you can log conversation of each issue. And this button is at the right-hand side of the issue view. So, if you have a right access to this issue, you can log conversation. So if you have some messy or large issue, log conversation and divide multiple issues, right? And next tip is searching. Searching is very important because opening an issue as much as you can and dividing issues into tiny or small, and you start to get many issues. So with many issues, it's very hard to find your appropriate issues. So mastering the searching syntax is very important. And you can search issues from this kind of search bar, and you can use you can just input the search keyword and search some issues. But you can also use a search syntax like this. These are just an example. GitHub have a wide variety of search syntax, but these are just an example. And for example, the top one is each column issue. This syntax matches only issues. And the second one is text and in column title. This syntax matches issues with text in the title, right? And the third one is a user column, for example, opcat. This matches issues owned by a user called opcat. So with this search syntax, you can search more effectively. So you can manage the large number of issues. And we have a very large number of such syntax on GitHub. So these two help documents cover the whole such syntax. So please check these two documents. And the next one. And next tip is use table. You can also use table in the Markdown. So when you write Markdown like this, you can get a table. This is very good because it's good to visualize the complex data or to summarize the complex data or the complex topics. So use table. And also, there are another good topic around table, like this. This is an HTML page. This is a website. And you can drag and drop from the HTML table into Markdown. This is excellent. I'm happy to hear that. Yeah, GitHub automatically convert the table into the Markdown syntax. So this is also great. And also, you can copy and paste from Excel. I'm not sure many of you use Excel or not, but this is very great. Yeah, so please use this.
How about from Google Sheets?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yes, yes. Okay. Alright, so the next topic, pull request. Do you have any questions so far? No? Okay, so let's move on. Next topic is pull request. Pull request is Nour had a very great introduction about the pull request. So I'll skip the introduction. So pull request is kind of sharing idea or your thoughts with writing code, right? And as issues, it is good to create pull requests at early stage. So it is okay to create a pull request with unfinished work or unfinished code modification. So please share your code with your team member at the early stage. So this will let you give feedback from your team members And also, you can get the feedback from tools like automated testing tool or static analysis tool or security inspection tool or things like that. So if you create a pull request, you can get feedback from automated tools, so you can find your code bugs at an early stage. So finding bug early is leads to cheap modification cost. So this is a very important tip. And also, when you share your unfinished or work in progress pull request, it is good to specify if that pull request is work in progress. So to specify that, many developers use the prefix title with WIP or use WIP label. So this is an acronym of the work in progress. So WIP means so your team members know that this pull request is work in progress. So this is a good tip or a good practice. And also, you can also create a pull request template. It's a very similar to the issue template. And so you can include some task list or the add mentions in the pull request. So including add mention will make you notify to some appropriate person when the pull request is created. So this is also a good tip. And at the first line, there is a sentence like fixes hash. And I will show you in the next slide. And close issues using keywords. This is also good. So this is a pull request, opening the pull request page. And here is a sentence like this pull request fixes hash something. And hash something means that this is the reference to an issue, right? So this sentence means that this pull request is a solution to some issue, right? So this is a good for your team members because this indicates that, oh, this pull request is related to the original issue. But this is great because when this pull request is merged to the master branch, the reference issue will be automatically closed, right? So it helps you to maintain the issue status automatically. So including the sentence like this in the pull request is very good too. Okay. And the next one is co-authoring. How many of you have the experience of the pair programming or mode programming? Oh, some of you have experience. Yeah, pair programming is literally programming with pair, right? So this is good for the collaboration and also the sharing your skills to your body, right? And mode programming is it's a kind of a pair programming, but it's made by many people, multiple people. For example, 3 or 4 or 5. So the pair programming and the mode programming is increasing its popularity recently. So in that situation, one problem is that who is the appropriate author of each commit, right? With Git itself, not GitHub, Git, you can only one author at each commit. So when you do a pair programming or more programming, it's a difficult situation. But with GitHub, you can specify the co-author. So you can specify all of the pair or all of the mob names into each commit. So this will acknowledge the team members, the appropriate author of each commit, right? So you can find, so for example, when reviewing the code and you find something to ask, so, and you can see the commit logs and you can ask the appropriate person to your question, right? So this is also the good tips. Yeah, you can see that like this. And the next one is the jump to method or jump to function. This is a relatively new feature, but you can see the jump to drop-down menu in the pull request view. And if you click this button, you can see some search box. And when you open, for example, the copy, you can jump to the file or method whose name contains copy, right? So this feature will help you to review the huge code or the many number of files. So this is good for the enhance your code review productivity. Okay. Do you have any questions about? No.
Is there any shortcut assignment?
That's a great.
Text box.
That's a great question. But I'm sorry, I don't know. Do you know? No.
Not to jump to yet. There is Command T, but not to jump to yet.
Are there any plans to close issues when pull requests are merged to a different branch than the default branch?
It can be done. I think no.
Say that again.
So normally when you want to close an issue that is related to a pull request, it only happens if the pull request is targets the default branch, master.
The master branch?
Yes. But for example, when you are managing different projects that have different versions and are in different branches, sometimes certain issues are only applied to certain versions that are not on master. So my team is struggling with that because we use the keywords and all, but the issues don't get closed.
They're not closing when you commit to the branch.
Yes.
Yeah, let me check on that.
Okay.
Shouldn't the issue be opened on the branch where the issue exists? And then when you merge to that branch, it should close?
But the issues are per repository.
Huh?
How would you open an issue? I mean, a branch of an issue? I don't know.
I don't understand that.
Okay, thank you. Let's discuss that. Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so let's go on. And the last topic is about projects. Git have a feature to manage projects, and here is the project view. Have you seen this? Oh, many of you have seen this. This is a kind of a Kanban board, Kanban style board, and it's much like a whiteboard and a post-it. Right? So in this example, we have 4 columns, and each column represents the item status. So in this example, we have a backlog column and in progress, done, and log. So backlog column is for the new task list, and in progress, done, log. Right? So that you can manage you can drag and drop each card to the column, so you can drag and drop the card to manage each card status. So this is very good to visualize the product status. But there one more good tip is that I forgot a very important explanation. Each card is issue or pull request or text nodes or other project, right? We can add the card as these 4 kinds of items. And it is good to, if you include a task list in the issue or pull request, you can see that items progress bar in the project view. So for example, this is a pull request, or awesome pull request. And you can see this progress bar. Oh, sorry, this is very small. And here is 0 of 2 and light gray progress bar. This means that these pull requests have 2 tasks in total, but nothing is done, right? So you can see that this item's progress in the project board. And also this is issue, and this issue is 2 of 4 items is finished. So there are 4 items, 4 tasks in total, and 2 of the items is finished. And this is the project card. And this purple line means that this is done. So the half of the task is done inside this project. So this progress bar is very good to visualize the whole project status or progress. And one more thing good to know is that you can automate to move the card to the other column, right? So for example, if you have an issue item in some project board, and if that issue is closed, then you can automatically move to the done column, right? So you don't need to move each item manually, right? And you can set up the automation settings at each column settings view. This is the settings view. So you can automate the card move in the project board, right? This is a very good automation. But the project automation is very great. But what if you want to automate more advanced workflow? For example, if you want to close old non-active issues automatically, or to close non-active pull requests automatically, or things like that. That is a great automation. And also, we can do that with GitHub Apps. GitHub Apps is a third-party tool, but it will integrate with GitHub itself. And GitHub Apps will improve or automate your GitHub workflow, right? I will show you an example. This is a GitHub Apps example called Save. This GitHub Apps will automatically close the saved issues or saved pull requests. So, for example, if the open issue exists with non-active, so for example, in 2 weeks, and then this GitHub Apps will post the comment automatically like this. So this issue has been automatically marked as a saved because you have no activity recently or things like that. And after 2 weeks, if there is no more activities, this saved GitHub Apps automatically close that issue or pull request, right? So you can extend your GitHub workflow with GitHub Apps like this. And more interesting point to you is you can write your own GitHub apps by yourself, right? So that is a great news because all of you write code, right? And we have a framework to write GitHub apps called Probot. This is a JavaScript framework to write GitHub apps. So you can automate your own GitHub workflow by yourself. And here is an example of the Probot GitHub apps. Very tiny script, but here issues.this right issues.open. This is a name of an event. So this GitHub apps will work with GitHub, and GitHub will send a notification to this GitHub apps when issue is open, right? And then this GitHub apps will execute these operations. So So, and in these two lines, the first, create an object called parents. It's a issue comment, and with its body is hello world. And then create a comment with the parents object. So this script execute post a comment when someone opened an issue, right? So this is a very basic example, but you can automate your workflow in the issue or pull request or other areas in the GitHub. So this will help you to automate your workflow, and that will generate a great productivity, right? And one more point to notice is that this is a method defined by Probot, and so this create comment, for example, this create comment method is execute the GitHub API internally, right? So you can request the GitHub API from Probot code very easily. And GitHub offers many APIs and provide an access to the GitHub features of the GitHub data. So you can do almost anything you can do in the web browser with the GitHub API. So there are many things you can do with the GitHub API and GitHub apps, right? And this is a Probot website, and we have a featured apps list, right? And so if you develop your own GitHub apps based on Probot, you can post your own GitHub apps to this site. So Probot site will list your GitHub apps at this page, right? And there are many GitHub apps in the Probot page. So, and for example, this one, work in progress. This is also good because these GitHub apps will prevent merging of the pull request with which has a WIP in their title. So as I said, WIP means a work in progress. So I don't want to merge that work in progress branch to the master branch, right? So this work in progress GitHub apps prevent merging the WIP pull request, right? So GitHub apps can do that kind of automation. So please feel free to access this site and develop your own GitHub apps. Okay. And my presentation is almost done, but as you see so far, there are many tips and many features in GitHub. And also GitHub is evolving rapidly, right? So there are many new features. So I will share you some tips to keep track of GitHub, GitHub updates. And this is a changelog. Changelog is literally a changelog of the GitHub. And you can see the GitHub updates or the GitHub new things in this site. And also you can subscribe this feed so that you can get the latest news of GitHub. Every single new news or new things about GitHub. So please check this site. And also we have a GitHub Learning Lab. Yes, did anyone know this one? Oh, you know. Oh, of course.
Sorry.
Yeah, this is a kind of an online training course. And it's, of course, it's free, and it's an interactive course, so you can learn the GitHub latest feature or latest tips with using actually interacting in the GitHub repository. So this is a kind of the GitHub app. So this is good to learn GitHub tips. And currently we offer 8 courses in this lab. So for example, the introduction to GitHub and communicating using Markdown. So this course will explain you the Markdown syntax, like a table or task list or things like that. And also we have uploading your project to GitHub. This is a kind of introduction to the GitHub project or the GitHub repository itself. And also managing merge conflicts or the migrating or the GitHub page. So we have 8 courses now, and we are adding more courses now. So please check this lab and learn GitHub.
Are you guys translating to the Japanese?
No, we haven't. I feel very sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So many Japanese ask me that, oh, do you have a Japanese GitHub.com? But I would say no, so I feel very sorry about that. And last one is the GitHub community. We have a GitHub community forum. The repository itself is a kind of a community, but this is a more general one. So you can, so for example, you can ask something, or you can start a conversation, or you can share what you developed, and also you can help others to understand the GitHub or the Git. So please access this forum and make a conversation with your with the community members. All right, thank you for listening today. I hope my presentation will help you to understand the GitHub. So thank you.
And he'll be talking about getting started with Unity. So I'll let him introduce himself.
Hi everyone, my name is Dustin. I'll be talking to you guys about getting started with Unity. Yeah, I know it's been a really long day, and been sitting here for a very long time, so let's kind of keep the energy up, and let's get started with this. So first, a little bit about myself. I'm from California, and I've lived in both the West Coast and the East Coast of the United States. And I'm really into games. I love playing games. I've been playing games all my life, and yeah. I've actually worked in the game industry for about 2 years, so I had some experience in the industry as well. This is a picture of me at E3, I believe 2016, which is a big game show, industry game show that they show off the latest games. I know it looks like my eyes are closed here, but they're actually open. There's a really like bright spotlight on Mario, so yeah. But before we go any further, how many of you guys play games or like are interested in games? Okay, cool. How many of you guys have ever had a game idea for yourselves? Oh, a lot of you guys too. How many of you guys have tried to make that game? Wow. Cool. So for those of you who haven't tried, is the reason why you guys haven't tried because it's a little too complicated or it seems like a really big deal? Yeah? Okay, so this talk is kind of for you, or mainly focused for you guys. It's just to show you guys that actually getting started on a basic game is not that hard. So that's pretty much the premise of this talk. Hopefully when you guys leave after this talk, you guys will know how to get started on your own game. So what I'll be showing you guys is how to build a basic game, creating objects, attaching scripts to those objects to make them do what you want to do, and then creating a UI or HUD, which are user interface and heads-up display, so that you can make your own game. And then on top of that, it's also going to show you how to get assets for your store, for your game. Assets are typically things that you will be that you can use to populate your game, like things such as like bottles, rings, coins, characters, and that type of stuff. So I'll be showing you how to get all that stuff. So, price of entry. Typically, when you start a new hobby or something, say like soccer or football, as it's called over here, you need to pay for something, right? Like to play soccer, you need a soccer ball or football. I'm not sure which one you guys want to call it. I'm just gonna call it soccer. But you need to pay for a soccer ball. If you play tennis, you need a tennis racket, maybe some tennis balls, and you need to find a court. So to start Unity, what you need is production suite, some assets, and testing equipment. How much do you guys think all of that costs? Zero? Anyone else? Any other answers? Zero?
Zero.
Absolutely right. All of this. So assuming you have a computer at least, you can get started with this hobby, and it's really a lot of fun. I definitely recommend it. And that's what I'm here to show you guys. So, what you should know going into this, you should have a basic understanding of code syntax and how it's written. There won't be too much code in this. We have probably about 30, maybe 40 lines of code, but you need to understand how it's written, how functions are called, and how to write variables and other basics of coding. And then also you need a computer with Unity installed as well. So, what we're going to be making today is actually a 3D ball rolling game. Something pretty basic. You'll have a plane, and you will be rolling the ball around the plane. Pretty simple concept. And then to spice things up a little bit, we'll have them pick up objects to increase your score. That's a very basic facet of a lot of video games. For example, Mario, you run around, you can grab power-ups and you can grab coins. Sonic, you run around, you grab rings, so on and so forth. A lot of games do it. So we'll be making something pretty basic that a lot of games implement. So before we go actually into Unity, I want to show you guys the window, the Unity window, which is where we'll be doing our developing for the most part. It consists of 4 main points that you'll be using the most. It has a scene view here, which contains a view of all of the stuff you'll be working with, game objects, cameras, lighting, that type of stuff. And it'll display all of that right over here. Next, you have your inspector, which we have over here. Inspector contains all of the properties of any object that you have selected. Objects can have a lot of properties such as scripts, different body types, shapes, textures. We'll get into that some more later, but just so you have an idea, this is where you'll be viewing your just the various properties of what you're working with. And then we have over here, we have the hierarchy. The hierarchy contains all of the objects which you guys will be using inside of your scene or your game. So anything that shows up, if you make a player, you make some coins, any of that stuff, that will show up here, and you can easily select it. So this is an easy way to keep track of all your different things that you're playing with and moving around. And then last but not least, we have the project window down here. This contains all of your materials, somewhere to play this game, right? It's a ball rolling game, so we need to have it on the ground. It's not flying. So we need to make a ground, and to make it stand out a little bit, we're actually going to give it a color. So this is your basic Unity screen. One thing I do want to mention is if you do start your game first, your editor first, it may not actually be set up with these in this way, but you can set it up however you want. This is just the way that I had it default, so that's the way I'll be using it. So the first thing we want to do is to make a plane. We have nothing here right now, but if we go up to game objects here, or we can even create a game object down here, and we go to 3D objects, we can make a plane for us to play on. And it's going to show up right there. So it's white right now, And it's kind of hard to like tell the difference. We have everything white, so we're gonna make it a different color. So to do that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually go into assets over here, create, and we're going to make a material. Now material is generally used for any objects in the game. Let's call this a ground. Cool. And let's give it a color because it's also white right now. Does anyone have any suggestions for a color for the ground?
Black.
Black.
Blue.
Magenta. Okay. Aside from black, I'm not too. Black is actually also hard to use, so let's avoid that. But I'm sorry. Where's I'm gonna go with magenta, but where's magenta? I'm actually colorblind, so. So 4 o'clock is like right here. I think. A little more. Right there? Okay, and let's pick something here.
Yeah.
That's good?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, I would probably ask you guys. But yeah, so we have a magenta material now, and to apply it to the ground, it's actually really easy. All you have to do is you just drag and drop straight onto the ground, and you have your ground. Magenta color for whatever reason, but yeah. So we have that, and now this is a little bit small to play on. So let's go ahead and make it a little bit bigger. One thing I'm going to do right here is I'm going to actually reset this position to 0, 0, 0. It just kind of makes any logic that you put into your scripts later more accurate. So that's just a suggestion, but nothing too big to worry about. But I'm just going to do that for now. And then to change the size, there's 2 ways to do this. You can use this transform component of your plane, and you can change the scale, which will change the actual size of this. So let's go ahead and make this, I don't know, let's make it 7. And so it instantly changes the size, and now we have a pretty big playing field to play on. One other way you can do this, if you're more the type to like to eyeball things and kind of go on the fly, you can click the scale tool over here, and you'll notice that these arrows previously turn into boxes, and you can actually just drag and change the size freely. And you can see in the transform over here in the window, you can see exactly how far it's changing and what number it's at. So that's very useful. For now, I'm just going to set it to 7 just to make it even. All right, cool. So now we have our plane to play on. Let's go back. Let's see what's the next step. We need to build some walls. So one kind of issue you might run into when you make this, if you just make a player on the playfield, if there's no walls, you kind of roll off the edge of the world and you just kind of fall forever. Which is not a lot of fun for a gamer, you know? So let's make some walls. So let's go back into here. And to make walls, pretty simple as well. Again, we're going to be going to game objects, just make more objects. And we can make something like a cube and just make it into like a rectangular prism. Just make some walls. So we have this cube here. We need to make it big enough to wrap around the edges. So the best way to do this is probably just to kind of think of each wall as a separate thing and not as one big wall. So we're just going to make one wall at a time. So let's go ahead and just scale this up again. This one, I'm not really sure what size to make it. So I am going to use, what's it called? The scale tool. Oh wow, this is actually going to be really big. Wow. Okay, it's a little too big. Okay, let's see if that's, take a look at the edge over here. And a little bit longer. A little bit longer. No, oh geez.
Set it to 7.
No, it's 70 over here. That's a, okay, oh, maybe it's just 70. Let's try 70. Okay, 70 works perfectly. That's great. Okay. So, let's go ahead and this. So now that we have this, you can also change the position using the transform, just like the other way. Just like, well, all these inside the, The same way that you change scale, you can also change the position of an object. So we can do that over here. We can change the, I'm gonna guess Z, maybe 7? Oh, that's the plane. Wait, that's the wrong thing. So yeah, this is one of the things where you can actually use the hierarchy to select the item you want. So earlier I had accidentally selected the plane, and you can't really tell the difference between if you're selecting the plane or the object without the outline, so you can get a little bit confused. So in that case, it's easy to just select it in the hierarchy. So let's go ahead and change this to 7D? No. I'm going to move it manually.
Half of 70.
Half of 70? Oh,
35.
right. Yeah, that's right. So 35. Perfect. And I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So we, oh, no. 10. Okay, that's a little big. 5. Okay, cool. So now we made one wall. That took kind of a long time, right? And this kind of would become a pain to do it a bunch of times. So what we can actually do is really convenient is if we press Command D, you can actually duplicate the wall. And you can't actually see it right now, but there's a second wall there. And you can see in the hierarchy that a second cube has appeared. And with the addition of a parenthesis 1, just to give it a different name. And if we go ahead and move this, as you can see, we have a second wall. So let's go ahead and set that at -35 across the way. And there you go, we got 2 walls. Awesome. Now, creating the other walls, there's a few ways you can do it for the north and south wall. You can either change the scale to match the 70 on the z-axis, which will spread it the other way. Or you can also change the y rotation, which I'll show you guys right now, to just rotate the wall to have the same exact wall, just in a different angle. So if I go ahead and duplicate this wall as well, and we use the rotation tool or the transform, and you'll see that the arrows and the boxes have changed to actually a sphere now. You can grab one of these axes, and you can actually turn it, and turn it as far as you want. But I'm just going to set it to 90. That's easy. So let's set this back to 0, 0, 0 again. And instead set the x to 35. Yeah, perfect. And let's do the same for the other side. Copy this and set this one to -35. Awesome. So now we have 4 walls for our play field. Now, these walls are white, again, which is not very good for it. So, does anyone remember how to make materials? Anyone?
Same way you make cubes. Go to the menu at the top.
Menu at the top. Game object, that's where I made the cubes. Component, assets? Assets. Okay, so we go into assets, create, then we can make another material. Great. Let's call these walls. For the walls, any suggestions for colors this time?
Green.
Huh? Green? I'm sorry?
Chartreuse.
Structures?
Chartreuse.
What is chartreuse? Okay, well, I'm not too sure what that is, but someone said green, right?
Green.
Black.
Okay, here. I'm assuming this is not green, this is green. Let's make it green.
Yeah.
Cool.
Beautiful.
Alright, so to do this, let's go ahead and just drag it. You can also drag it into the hierarchy in case you can't find the object on your view. And we're just going to drag them into each one. Awesome. Cool. So now if you zoom out, you have your playfield, which is great. Cool. This is the weirdest color I've ever seen with this, but it actually looks really nice, gotta say. So we built some walls, so we have a good playfield now. Let's build the player. So since we're just rolling a ball around, I feel the easiest way to do it is just to make a 3D sphere. So we're going to do it the same way we've made the walls, the plane, everything else. We're going to use the game object menu just to make the sphere. So let's see, let's go right to the center. And let's make something. Game objects, 3D objects, sphere. And let's check that out. And focus. Oh, that's not what I want. Oops. Let's name that player. There you go. Okay. Wait, that's not good. We have our sphere in the ground. That kind of makes things hard to roll. So let's pull it out of the ground, same way as before. Just drag it up, or if you just happen to know, and I just happen to know, it's going to be 0.5 to get it halfway out. So now we have our ball in the field, and if we hit play, you can actually see it. Awesome. But you can't make a roll or anything yet. So let's see, what else do we do? Oh, right. This ball also, you can't really tell when it's rolling. I found that it's quite hard to tell with the basic flat color. So we're actually going to go into the asset store, which is something that's built into the Unity editor. And we're going to find something that we can use to kind of more easily display movement. So let's go back into this. I already have it open over here, but you can go into Window, General, and open the Asset Store. I have it preloaded just for the sake of time. So in the Unity store, it's very easy to find things. For example, let's find soccer ball. Soccer ball. Pretty easy. And it'll give you a bunch of results. And then if you're cheap like me, what you'll do is you'll set the price to $0 because you don't want to pay for it. So this looks pretty good. I've actually used this before, and I'll show you guys later. So normally this says download, and you can download it, and then you can import it straight into your projects and use it right away. I already have it imported, so I'm not going to, but normally you just check all the checkboxes, and then you hit import, and it's ready to use. So let's go back into our scene. Let's see. So this ball is whatever. Let's just delete it real quick. And deletes. And if you look over here into our project menu, we actually have our soccer ball already imported. And this is where prefabs come in. So a lot of 3D objects in the asset stores are a combination of multiple things, different textures, different 3D objects, and they put them all together for you into a prefab. And prefabs are just these things that are all assembled, and you can just use them in your game. So you just drag and drop, and it's in there. And we have a soccer ball now. It's a little bit smaller. So let's make it a little bit bigger. Let's increase it by a size of 5. 5. You look at it. But let's go ahead and make it into a regular ball. And let's raise it up so it's not in the ground. And yeah, so now we have a soccer ball. And if this actually rolls, you can much more easily tell that it's actually rolling. So you can actually play it, and you can see this is actually a really nice picture. But yeah, so we have our soccer ball, which is going to be great for the future. Let's see what's next. So if you notice, the camera's kind of at a weird angle. Like, you can't actually see the entire field, and you can only see like going straight forward, which is not like optimal for these types of third-person games. I'll show you guys again. It's like, and then yeah. So we're actually going to move the camera. The camera comes installed on all basic when you start a brand new Unity project. So all you have to do is click on the camera. It gives you a preview, which is also really nice. But if you focus it, you can find it on the inside of the scene. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to raise it up so we can actually see the entire scene. And then we're going to also turn it so we have a better view. I'm going to raise it up a little bit more. Cool. So now if we press play, you can see the entire field rather than just like a very weird angle in front of you.
So that looks good to me. And I'm just gonna rename a couple of these just so that it's a little bit clearer. Player, ground, and then these are walls. Wall. I'm just not gonna worry about the rest of this. Okay, so cool. And let's see what else we got. Now is the coding part of this. We got scripts. So if you are familiar with Unity, which maybe some of you guys are, because you guys have tried a lot of development. A lot of you guys have tried development. It's primarily written in C#. Until recently, they used to support what's called Unity script, which is kind of like JavaScript. But actually, as of August 2017, they stopped development of it. So it may work, it may not. I'm not going to guarantee anything. But feel free to try it, and if it does work, great. If it doesn't, sorry. But yeah, and so we need to write some scripts for player movement and for camera movement. So right now, if we press play, then the ball doesn't actually do anything. It just kind of sits there. So it's not very much of a game. So let's get things. Let's get the ball rolling. Here we go. Let's see. So, to attach a script to this, if you have scripts available, then you can find them and just drag and drop them onto here. But if not, then what you can do is you can add a component, and you can just look up new scripts and add a script to it. So let's name this ball mover. Cool. And now you have a script here, which you can use to manipulate, which you can write code in to manipulate the object. Now, one thing, since we will be applying physics to this game object, we need to actually give it another component called a rigid body. And that allows it to take in physics from the Unity physics engine. So I'm going to go ahead and add that right now. Since we are doing this in 3D, we will be using the regular rigid body and not the 2D rigid body. So let's keep that in mind. So now as you see, we have a rigid body now. Don't worry too much about all the stuff, we won't be touching it. But let's go into the script. So we have a script here. You can open it. I will be using VS Code. That's just what I like to use. Unity does come with a built-in script editor, so you don't need to download any additional programs for this. But this is what I'll be using. You can see that it already comes initialized with some libraries in here and some other functions. These are going to be standard functions that Unity uses. Start is an initialization function for any variables that you might need. Stuff such as counts or any like counting how many coins you have or how many lives, that stuff. And then update is going to be run continuously as the game runs, and it will update the status of objects and other things in the game. So to start with, we're gonna need to initialize this. Well, first we need to make a variable called rigid body. Initialization? Where is it? I have a snippet for this. Let's see. Private. I'll just write it out. Private rigid body. RB. Cool. So that will make us a rigid body that in this code that we can add forces and all sorts of other things to. And then to start.
Without that line, the rigid body isn't accessible from the code?
No, not quite. This is a rigid body is something that the code will be performing certain actions on inside the code. But right here, when I initialize, it's actually going to grab the rigid body component from the actual object that it's attached to. So if you do this, I have a snippet for this. So
I'm sorry, could you zoom in a little?
Oh, sorry. Let's go ahead and full screen this. Is that better? Is the color alright? I can change the color if you guys want.
Magenta.
I mean, I can't do magenta, but let's change the screen.
We have light plus. Is this easier to read? No? No? Okay, let's go back. What was the old one? Dark? This one? Alright, cool. So we're going to initialize the object by grabbing the rigid body, and that will allow us to manipulate the actual rigid body on the objects. And then we're actually going to use a different version of update. It's going to be called fixed update. There's minor differences for this, but it's more, fixed update is better for physics-related motions. It removes the issues that come into play when you have systems with different
Frame rates?
frame rates, yes. Yeah, pretty much. So let's go ahead and movement. Is it ball mover? No, no. I had another snippet for that. I can't remember it right now. Oh, supply force. Here we go. So we're gonna add these. Some quick stuff right here. Float. We're gonna set two variables. Float, move horizontal and move vertical. And what they do is they're going to take from the input, which is a container containing inputs from the keyboard, and it's going to get the inputs from the axis horizontal and vertical and place them into variables. And then it's going to turn those two variables into a vector 3, which is a, if you're familiar with some sort of math, I don't remember which type of math it was.
Linear algebra.
Linear algebra, that one. So it's a direction of movement and a scalar, which is what we'll be using as a force. So we create a new vector 3 using the horizontal and vertical inputs, and we'll be adding them to the rigid body using the method add force, and that will allow us to move the actual ball. So let's go ahead and save this. It's already attached to the ball, so it looks like everything compiled right. And if we actually play it, you can actually see the ball moving, which is great.
Why is it rolling? No, I mean, when you applied force, you didn't put anything to apply spin.
I'm not really sure about that actually. I want to say it's just because when you push it, then it's just... Actually, I'm not really sure. Go ahead.
I think it's basically because of friction, because when you move a ball and then you get friction at the bottom.
Ah, yes, that's probably actually the right answer.
Well, let's turn on friction.
I don't want to do that. I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Come on, let's turn friction off on the ground.
No, just for the sake of time, like, this would be really fun to do like outside of this, but we're in a kind of a limited time space, so we're just gonna not really worry about that. Also, gravity is on, so it's gonna kind of stay stuck to the ground. So when you push it, that stuff will happen.
Turning soccer into ice hockey.
But yeah. Okay, so now we have this ball moving, but if you notice, our camera kind of stays still. Not great. So like if I roll straight down, it's gonna disappear, and I have no idea where it's gonna be. Like I can see it over here, but like inside the game, no one can actually see it. So we should actually get the. We're gonna actually make another script to have the camera follow the ball. So I actually have some stuff already pre-written. I'm gonna open up my scripts, and we have a follow player script, which will allow us to follow the player. So I'm gonna go ahead and move that into the player. And if you notice, it actually has a variable for player. These are, so what we can actually do, is that the right thing? Come on. Ah, right, this is the wrong one. I actually don't need to put into the player. Let me get rid of that real quick. Remove component. We need to put this into the camera. Main camera. All right. So this has a field for the player. What we're gonna do is we're gonna drag the player and put it into there. So now this will actually track where the player is in terms of location, and it'll actually move it based on that. I can go into the code later if you guys want to, if you have questions about it, but for the sake of time, we're just gonna do it. And if we move, you actually see that the camera will actually follow it, and the ball stays centered where it is, no matter where you move. It's great. Cool. So we have that running. Let's see what else we need to do. Collectibles. So something to make the game interesting, actually, because right now we're just rolling around inside a box. It's not very much to do. So typically collectibles like Mario, Sonic have coins and rings, maybe gems. We're gonna make boxes just because we're kind of short on time, and we need to make them. Oh, wrong way. We need to make them stand out. Something to show that the players, so the players know that this is something you might want to interact with, maybe pick up. So let's go ahead and do that. I already have some stuff pre-made for this as well. That's a suckers. Prefabs, here, pickups. Simple, same as before. You just pick them up, drop them in, and I'm going to duplicate a bunch of them. And let's see. Okay. Cool. And duplicate, and then move. Duplicate, move. Super simple. Doesn't take very much time. Oh wait, what happened? Oops. Okay. And duplicate some more, and duplicate some more. And we have a good number of pickups. Unfortunately, right now, if we try and run through them, they're not really going to do very much because I actually don't have anything in the script for the ball to actually pick things up. So just what you actually need to do, I have another script prepared, is we have, let's do basic player controller. Let's go ahead and remove our old one for ball mover. Component, and we're going to add basic movement into that. So the difference between this code and the last code, there's a few things which I can point out for you guys real quick. I've actually initialized some variables for win text and count text so you can keep track. We'll go over that later. I've added a float for speed so you can change the speed of your objects, because right now our ball is kind of going slow. So this will help us speed things up. And then some more initialization stuff, which we'll go over later. And then this is the important part for the actual item pickups. This is a method that's a function that's built into Unity. It's on trigger enter, and when it enters what's defined as a trigger, then it will check this. And collider other being the in this case pickup objects. And so you're going to check and see if the pickup object, if the object is tagged as a pickup, and if it is, it'll get rid of it, and it'll increase your count. And once you have enough, then it'll tell you you won. So let's go back in. Oh. Where is Unity? There we go. So if you look at these, you can actually see that they're tagged as pickups. This is something that you can tag anything in, and they'll have certain properties which you can manipulate with that. I'm not going to go in too much detail. We can talk about this again after if you have questions. Oh, let's not do that. So now we have pickups. We have the player objects. Let's set the speed a little bit higher to kind of speed things up. And so now we have the ball. It's going much faster, if you guys remember. But the pickups are actually being picked up. It's great. But we can't actually tell how many pickups we've picked up or what's our score or any of that. So what we need to do is we need to make a user interface with a HUD or heads-up display. So it's going to show the player score, and then when you win, then it'll show you the just win text. So just notify you that you've won. Pretty basic, more game objects, you know, same old, same old. Just go to game object, UI,
text, and doesn't really show up, but I can find it over here. Text right here. Whoa. Okay, so this is going to show up really far out, which is really odd. That's normal though for this. It looks weird, but this is actually how this particular game object works. So if you actually hit play, you can actually see that game text show up right there. Just something to get used to, but nothing too crazy. If you hit the 2D button right here, it puts it so it's flat, which is a little bit easier to manipulate, but we're not going to worry too much about it. I'm just going to put it some arbitrary position up here and change the text size to, let's say, 20. And change the text to say this is going to be our count text. And yeah, let's change the color as well to make it stand out. Any suggestions on colors that stand out? I'm sorry?
Magenta.
No. We already have magenta. Blue? Is this blue?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's make it really bright. So we have, if we press play real quick and check that, see if it shows up well. I'm gonna change it some more, make it darker. There we go, that's probably a good color. But we need to change it again.
Let's do white. Maybe black
White?
at the bottom. Let's do white.
Lime green.
Yeah, let's do white.
White and gold.
Okay, I'm just gonna leave it as is for now.
Gradient.
Oh, that's. You guys really like complicated things. But yeah, so now we have that text. Let's make one more for our win text. Kind of running short on time, so I'm gonna kind of speed this up. Win text, and that will be 2D. Oh, what just happened? Win text. So now, let's just put it right in the center. Cool. So now we have these two. And to put them onto the player object to interact with the scripts, we're just going to drag them into the variables that we already have predefined. And here we go. So now we play them. If we play the game, you can see the count has been initialized, and win text is nowhere to be seen. I actually set it to be the value to be nothing at the very beginning. But I believe if we have it set to 4 or maybe 5, but once we hit 4 or 5 or maybe 6 pickups, it should show up. See? There we go. So you have winner. Very simple. Cool. So that way we have your count, so you have an idea of your progress, and we have a win condition. It's great. So last thing that's really nice to do is when you've built all of this, you can actually show it off very easily to your friends and family. What you got to do is you go into File, and you go into Build Settings, and this allows you to build your game in a lot of different platforms, very easy. I only can build in Mac OS X for some reason right now. I don't know what happened to the other options. But as you can see, there are plenty of other options for iOS, tvOS, Android, Facebook even. So you just build it.
What's the difference between HTML5 and Facebook?
I have no idea. To be perfectly honest, I've never actually built for HTML5 or Facebook, so I can't really say. But yeah.
I think Facebook is actually an embedded widget for Facebook, whereas HTML5 is standalone.
Ah, I see. Okay, so, sorry, your name is? Blake. So Blake mentioned that Facebook has an integrated widget, whereas HTML5 is standalone, you said?
I'm just guessing.
Guessing, okay. Well, it's much better than my guess. So,
Like a
should be fine.
proprietary version of Flash, sort of?
No idea.
Okay.
This is talk about Unity, not about Flash. But yeah, I can look into it later, but for now, let's just go ahead and build for Mac OS X. So just quick build. Let's do demo for the Mac. Build it. Oh, let's replace the demo. So cool. And when you build it, it gives you a file which is just executable, just like this. And you can actually just run it. Let's run it windowed. And it runs all on its own. And you can share it with whoever you want, upload it to websites. People just download the package and everything runs on its own. You don't even need to have the Unity editor installed. So it's a little bit, the latency on here is a little bit slow, so it's a little choppy on the screen. But yeah, it works great. So, very easy to share, a lot of fun. And then here's actually my demo on Google if you guys want to take a look at it and play around with it. Let's see what else we got. That was pretty fun, right? But let's make it a little more interesting. Rolling a ball around, picking up things. It kind of sounds like another game that I've played in the past. Does anyone have any idea what game I might be talking about? Maybe? I'm sorry, Katamari? You're absolutely right. Yeah. So let's make this a little more Katamari-like. Bigger playfield, cool objects, more scripts. Let's expand this playfield a little bit bigger so we have some stuff to play with. Make some more interesting pickups. I don't know if you played Katamari before, you pick up random things like sushi, and you can actually pick up entire people if you get big enough. I'm not going to do anything that crazy, unfortunately, but you get the idea. And then let's make the ball get bigger as soon as you pick up things. So, back to the game. So I actually have this pre-set up as well. I'm going to open up a different scene. Let's not say that. Cool. So this is a scene, just essentially the same thing as earlier, just bigger and has more assets. These trees are assets that I got for free on the store, and these buildings as well. So there's plenty of things you can find on here. So like if I show you, this will be a quick demo. I've also changed the size to show percentage in terms of versus original size. It's also different. And same as before, we're just picking up objects. We can't really do very much. We can't get out. But let's keep picking up some objects and get bigger and bigger and bigger. So you can actually see the ball increasing in size. And let's see, we're at like 280 right now. And oh, ball's gone. Cool. And we keep going. Pick up trees now. Can't do anything. Oh, building's gone. Cool. So yeah. And you just keep on picking up things and things will disappear. And this didn't take very long to do at all. I spent a couple hours on it, like probably 2 more hours after I finished the initial one. So it's really quite easy to do. And let's try and get to the win condition. I don't remember how much I set it as. There we go. Okay, so now we have winner. Cool.
Wait, does the size of the thing you're eating affect your getting bigger?
I'm sorry?
Does the size of the asset being consumed matter?
Yeah, they have certain values that I actually put into them. So depending on what you pick up, it'll increase the size differently.
So will you eventually eat the floor?
No, that's not. I have not set that as a pickup. But you can see, you can just roll the floor. Thinking that you want the walls to prevent, but the walls could not prevent it. But yeah. So, yeah, you can pick up even bigger things. So these are the references I used. I downloaded the Unity editor from unity3d.com, and I used the tutorial to make the roll ball. They have plenty of tutorials on there too. I very much suggest that you guys try them out. They're very easy to use, and they have very simple ones which don't require any coding at all to ones that will really like stretch your coding muscle. They have like one which is like a random map generator, for example. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. I hope I've inspired some of you guys to try this out. Any questions?
Turn off the friction.
All right.
turn off friction itself, but I can turn off gravity. I'm not sure what that's gonna do.
I thought there was a friction quantity on all physics objects.
Let's see. Rigid body has gravity. Is kinematic constraints? No. It might be the drag, but this one has 0 drag, so that shouldn't be anything. But I can turn off gravity.
I think you can add a component, a physics component, and then here you can change it. Spins.
Spins instead. Yeah, that's what happens. Cool.
It's a much better game already.
Any other questions?
When you were duplicating all the pickups, can you write a script to do the duplicating?
I don't know if you can do it inside the editor. I know that one of my colleagues has in the past made a script to dynamically place pickups at the start of the game. So that might be something that you're kind of getting at. But that is possible. It's a little bit more complex and definitely outside the scope of getting started with, but it's definitely possible. Anyone else?
All right. Round of
Thank you.
applause. Yay, and to all of our speakers, yay. Please come to big MiniConf tomorrow. We've got day 2. Day 2, a lot of really cool topics again. IPFS, DApps, yeah. And more cool stuff. Oh, Dijkstra's algorithm, pathfinding. Yay, and then we've got 2 engineers, one from Mercari, and one from SpotX, who will also be speaking alongside our students. So please come again, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. There will also be pizza again, but definitely come for the talks. And yeah, thanks for coming. All right, we're done. Huh? Oh yeah, sorry, one more thing. For our English program, like I announced in the beginning, our English course is starting this upcoming week, and we are offering anyone who wants to take it 30,000 yen off. If you mention MiniConf.